Well, thanks for joining me this morning. And my guest for the morning, Emmanuel Chimanting-Ejaku, is a member of Parliament for Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency. Thanks for joining me. He's a member of the NPP as well.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay. And we also have Abraham Amaliba, a member of the NDC's legal team. He's a part-time resident of the Bolga Central constituency.
you should just simply put it, a prospective member of Parliament for Bolga.
Oh, prospective member of Parliament. All right.
Oh no, where are you coming from? Do you know something I don't know?
Oh, I don't know. No, I mean, so you live here, you work here. What is all this big talk about?
You say. All right, gentlemen,
he's announcing himself. That's what it is.
Okay, I tried to do the announcement for him too. I guess we all work as stakeholders as far as this is concerned. And the chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission of Nigeria, shortly known by the acronym INEC, Professor Chair, says Ghana's Electoral Commission should also make sure that it employs the right sort of people, the right credibility and the expertise and knowledge in the upcoming election in 2016. But more importantly, he said electoral commissions in West Africa should make sure they organize free and fair elections by employing qualified persons and also collaborating better as far as that is concerned. Now I have to start with you on the words of Professor Jega. We know his history, especially recent history.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on your show this morning.
Thanks for coming.
And let me use this opportunity to say good morning to viewers, particularly those in my constituency, and most especially to all the polling agents who would be voting on the 12th of June, I believe. I didn't hear Professor, I only heard part of it, but I think he made some very useful observations. All of us that sat and watched the outturn of the Nigerian elections, and subsequently even at the state governor level, you would find out that the returning officers, at the very least, were all people of very high repute. If he was not a vice chancellor, he was a deputy vice chancellor, and like he is saying, when you do this, I want to believe that you avoid some of the very obvious mistakes we saw in our own elections. Okay. Of course, I will be the first to concede that it was probably not even at the polling station level. They called it the polling units. This was at the head of the coalition, at least those that reported the state outturns to us. I have a feeling that it did trickle down right to the polling stations. And for me, the point to be taken out of all of it is not even so much the Electoral Commission. I would come there. But for us as political parties, I think that the imperatives going forward into 2016 is that we must put people of repute, people who cannot, like the words he used, who cannot be corrupted, who cannot be intimidated, who will stick to the guns, who will ensure that the election is done according to the CI that operates the election in 2016, and all of this. One of the big lessons, and my friend who is learned, I'm not learned, but my friend who is learned and was in court.
Yeah. You also there?
Oh, I was not. I came once or twice.
I saw you sometimes.
Yeah. What was that? It appeared that there were obvious mistakes, both on the side of the political parties and the Electoral Commission. So I think the point he has made is extremely valid, that we should not, it is a document, and you should leave it in the hands, and you are operating a constitutional instrument. So two things. You are operating, you must, the person who is there for your party must clearly understand what the CI says, what is allowed to do, what is not allowed to do, what anybody there is allowed to do. I mean, we hear of instances where at elections, a policeman will come and say, tell the party agents to move back. You are not allowed a certain, we will not allow this, or we will not allow this. No, it is not up to the policeman. It is according to the constitutional instrument. And you must read and understand and be able to stick to your guns and tell anybody who is doing, or if the electoral officer is doing something which is not according to the text, you should tell him that no, this is not according to the text. The presupposition is that you must be able to read and understand and interpret it. That is on the side of the parties. But I think that also on the side of the Electoral Commission, it must be a big eye-opener. The embarrassment that was caused the Electoral Commissioner when he himself looked at the thing and for a minute was just sitting down and shaking his head and said, well, of course, at the end he said, they are not my staff, we hired them for just this work. I think that the clear message coming out is that hire the right caliber of persons. And for me, I think that is what I can speak for my party. I cannot speak for Council's party. I think that what we must be insisting is that we will not take a situation where 1 week to the election you will say that I am employing this. I think that the Electoral Commission knows that the election is going to come on the 7th of 2 to 3 months, clearly before time. All of us must know who is responsible for the election. We must be able to verify his bona fide. Is that how you call it in the law?
Bona fide.
Bona fide, is it?
Yeah, bona fide.
Bona fide. We must be able to look. I said it somewhere yesterday that all of us live in this country. As soon as the name Amalba is mentioned, the first thing that will come up in somebody's mind, oh, he's an NDC man, he's a lawyer, he comes from Bolga, he does this. People know us.
Yeah.
Take a teacher, take a secondary school teacher, take anybody, take somebody who works at immigration. When you mention, because he lives here, he didn't come from God's heaven or the devil's hell, people know, sometimes people know his political affiliation. So I think that what we need is to have a very transparent and open process on the side of the Electoral Commission. And when this happens, then I want to believe that what Professor Atahiru Jega is saying would be coming close to it. What has happened in the past, benefit of hindsight, that's completely not
hindsight
acceptable.
is always important, though, we're told. But if you listen to Professor Jega very well, there's a point in time in the interview he said, well, they decided to use, after 2011, that very election they had, to employ or whether to use the esteemed professors and the best academics they had in their country, because they felt those very individuals had reputations to protect, etc. Well, we will have individuals who have reputations to protect, but how would we say an individual has a reputation to protect but is not political, or at the point in time when he's supposed to undertake a certain activity will be non-political?
Let me start by saying good morning to your viewers and my constituents in Bolga.
Central.
Didn't I tell you?
No. I need to greet my constituents in Bolga. That doesn't mean that.
The man has plans.
Yes, he has.
All of us are politicians. All of us
well, he's actually early on announced the plans here.
Oh, you have?
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Are you suffering from some amnesia this morning?
No, I'm okay. Okay. Honorable has made, and I must say he's one of the MPP people that I really respect.
You mean their objective?
His objectivity in terms of political analysis of events. I have a lot of respect for him. He's not heavily partisan in some of these things.
Really?
Yeah, heavily partisan. He's partisan,
Well,
but not
true.
heavily.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I've noticed that about him.
I can also attest to that.
I've followed his submissions on various platforms. What happened in Nigeria was a situation where the Nigerians learned from other countries' mistakes. Indeed.
And the last one was Ghana.
Indeed. Atahiru Jega himself indicated that our Electoral Commission helped them to achieve that result, and that they have been partnering our Electoral Commission for a very long time. Now, they noticed that one of the gaps in our 2012 election was the use of non-qualified persons. And like he rightly said, in the Supreme Court, whilst we were there, we saw some of the pink sheets, and what was written on them was so terrible. Somebody wants to write in letters 550. he writes 505. And that was where the sheet was shown to Afarijan, and he was shaking his head and said that this can't be. But you see, in our electoral process, in our electoral commission, there are two types of employees. There's a permanent staff who are just a skeleton, and then you have the hired ones. The hired ones are normally looked after for or sought for during the elections. They are not permanent staff. Now, to what extent do we train them? And I think that that is where I agree with Honorable that, look, we need to give them sufficient training. Sometimes just 2 weeks training, and that is not enough. We need to give them sufficient training, say 2 months to the elections, and that for me would enable them have the necessary capacity to man the process. In the last elections, why we saw the kind of mistakes we saw was because of the non-use of teachers in the process. And so you notice that we just picked people who were looking for jobs for a one-day job on the street. They went and did what we saw.
But it was a decision of the Electoral Commission.
Yes, so we have to learn, and that is what I'm saying, that the Nigerians have learned from it. And you saw the caliber of persons. Now, this advice of hiring qualified people should also go to the political parties. They should also hire qualified people to man the processes at the Electoral Commission.
At the polling stations, yeah.
Because, again, at the Supreme Court, we noticed that some of the agents signed off, whether advertently or inadvertently, they sign off the pink sheets.
Even before...
Without any adequate scrutiny.
Scrutiny. So this advice should also go to the political parties, that this is an election, this is where your future hinges upon. If you want to be ruling this country, then the elections are won at the polling station and not at the Electoral Commission. So if you don't put people there who can man the process, then you are likely to be shortchanged. And I think that the advice coming from Atahiru Jaga is right, but I just think that it should be extended to the political parties to also recruit the right caliber of persons.
No, but then we also need to have the other ingredients available. Now, the last time we said no verification, no vote. But at some point in the Nigerian election, we saw that they were a bit flexible, even though we were also flexible the last time around. For example, the president didn't have his thumbprint.
He did.
No, he didn't have it verified on the machine.
He did.
The card was not picked eventually.
He did.
But he was allowed.
It is only that he stayed unduly long before it's picked. That is my information. You see, I think that this is where we must get it right. If we set electoral laws, there must be electoral laws. Dr. Farijan sat in front of all of us and said that envy, no verification, no vote. When he went to court, he was saying something completely different. You know, elections is number one, very emotive, and so therefore, I think that if we set the rules, and I in fact, for me, this is why I thumbs up for Professor Jaga. I think that the man was firm and consistent. For me, the word is consistent right to the end. When this
Afarijan was firm, only he was firm wrongly.
No, what wrongly? The Supreme Court has not said he was wrong.
All right. Sorry for my words.
I think that I don't know whether he's firm, but I think that he was not consistent. Professor Jaga was consistent. We all saw the display by a former minister, Godswill Orubebe, who just came and tried to ruffle the man. All of us saw the way he handled it. You know, you are former government minister, you are from the government party. This is what the rules say. You know, and I think that it is important that we go on that trajectory. Our expectation is that, to the extent that all of us keep to the book, all of us just keep to the book, and the Electoral Commission.
And if you say the book, you say the laws.
Yeah, I mean,
we keep to the rules. We keep to the rules.
Yes, every election is
by the book.
Yeah, by a
the
CI.
rules.
So I think that is what happened. If we do,
okay, we have to wrap up on the discussion. And
I think Afarijan has also exhibited some amount of credibility. Atahiru Jaga himself pointed at the credibility of Afarijan. What is happening now is that we need to improve, and over the years, as a nation, we have improved upon our electoral processes. No verification, no vote. In our system, the register is biometric. Indeed, when you go to the polling station to vote, there is a pop-up of your face that shows that you are the one. That's also biometric. And so the machine that is supposed to pick your thumb, some of us have the view that should not be the basis upon which you should stop somebody from voting. We have held that view. We canvassed that view in the Supreme Court. So a machine should not be the one to stop an eligible voter from voting. That is non-negotiable. But there's a committee, and I don't know whether he is part of it, Election Reform Committee at the INEC.
Yeah.
They will look at all these things, and hopefully they will come out with a compromised position for the next election. And as indicated, the process in Ghana has always improved every time we are going for the next election. And I'm sure those at the committee will do a good job.
You see, the difficulty I have with the submission by council is that, council, it is what you are saying is completely an afterthought. At the time we agreed on what was the rule, I think that we must be firm and we must be consistent. At the time of the 2012 election, the agreement, the
public
rule was
agreement that was even affirmed publicly.
Yes, was that if there will be no verification,
I know there was a whole
vote.
press conference that was
You
confirmed.
understand? So I think.
But now you, the parties, based on experience and practicability, you know that.
Now I can agree. You see, going forward, if we want to make some adjustments, that is fine. But I said, to the extent that was the rule, I have kept emphasizing that.
So you say if we even were subject to
the law says
some
that
amendment, or we want to be amenable.
The CI says that a voter shall go through biometric verification, but it's not. This no verification, no vote was just a statement made by the EC commissioner.
But
the EC commissioner is not a law.
What is the biometric verification?
And I've told you that
verifying biometric.
I've told you that the register is itself biometric. The popping up of your face is biometric processes, and then the thumbprint is biometric processes.
So when you go to the
Election-
American embassy,
Elections continue.